I was going to California on a trip, and I told my daughters, I'll write you a story. What do you want it to be about? And one of them said, princesses, and the other said something about brides. And I said, okay, that will be the title. I went out and wrote the first 2 pages, and then I stopped. And then years later, I went back and finished the book.
He didn't fall? Inconceivable. You keep using the word. I do not think it means what you think it means.
Hello again, and welcome back to the channel. I'm your host. What is a Disney princess? Which ones are the best and which ones are the least best? The worst.
And which one's the least best? The worst.
These are questions with many answers, and these are all questions which I will attempt to satisfactorily answer in this ranking video. At least, I'm going to satisfy myself with it, so, haha. First, a few explanations and definitions, and then the list. I'll try not to take too long getting into it.
There are a few provisos, a couple of quid pro quo.
Like?
Rule number 1.
There are currently 13 characters in the official Disney princess lineup. So why is this list 40 characters long, as the title will probably indicate, I think. Let's first talk about what it takes to actually join that coveted list of 13, and just how difficult, persnickety, and increasingly inconsistent those guidelines have become over the decades, since the official lineup was introduced as their own official category of Disney merchandise.
I'd buy that for $1.
Remember, of course, that, as with nearly anything to do with Disney, especially modern Disney, it always all comes back to the money. First, the official guidelines, known as the Disney Princess Test, I suppose. Also remember that, as always, as in everything, virtually every rule has its own bizarre exception. The 3 must-haves. She must star in a Disney animation feature, except for one time, cough cough Merida. She must be human or mostly human, cough cough Ariel. She must not be introduced through a sequel. There's no cough coughs for that one, sadly. R.I.P. Melody. After that, she must be at least one of 3 things to still be considered for the list. She must be born royal, marry royal, or show exceptional heroism. Cough cough Mulan. Many cough coughs. And then, of course, there's the unwritten money rules. She must make money. Except for one time where she didn't and was a massive money loser, but they'd already announced her as a part of the lineup and were too embarrassed to walk it back. Cough cough Rya.
Still a piece of garbage.
Her film must be a commercial success, but not too much of a commercial success to make her more viable as her own brand entirely. Cough cough Anna and Elsa. Every rule has a cough cough. Except for, I guess, that one. The sequel one.
60% of the time, it works every time.
That doesn't make sense.
In addition to this, I, the host, have identified at some point in the past, and I remembered them today, the 6 most common traits of the princesses who are on the official list of 13. They are in no particular order. She is the main character of her movie, almost every time. Her movie is a musical in which she sings, all but one time. She has a romance that is resolved by the end of the film, most of the time, but increasingly less and less recently. They have a special connection to and/or ability to understand animals, almost every single time. They have other magical abilities or gifts of some kind, some of the time, but not quite as common as the other traits, but still pretty up there. And finally, they have a specific animal sidekick, the overwhelming majority of the time. At the end of the day, for this video, I'm also just throwing all of that out and including 40 characters that I just thought fit the bill, including the now 17 characters that you would immediately think of, the 13 official and the 4 more recent that aren't quite on there, and 23 others that might not so immediately come to mind. I must also add in a special disclaimer about Lilo and her age. She's something like 6 or 7 or 8 or 9 in the movie, but she's quite young. She's a little kid. And that's one of the reasons why I didn't feel right to include her in this list, as she is so unique as a female Disney lead. Even though I did ultimately decide to include both Wendy and Alice, but that if I did rank her, Lilo would probably be somewhere inside the top 10. That's how much I love her. However, other than Vanellope, who is essentially ageless, as she is a character in an arcade game, I decided to make the age cutoff 10 years old, and include Wendy and Alice, while excluding Lilo. Lilo's movie also just isn't magical, and includes science fiction elements instead, meaning that Lilo's movie doesn't feel at all as close to a princess film as theirs do, as well as Lilo just not being that character type in any way. However, I thought it would be fun to include and rank Alice and Wendy, Catherine Beaumont's 2 characters on the list. Without further ado, join me as I rank every princess and more, from 40th to 1st. This is going to be a long recording session, oh my lord. I put this off all week.
I'll be here all week. Try to feel. It's the best in the city.
Number 40. Vanellope von Schweetz from Wreck-It Ralph and Ralph Breaks the Internet. Oy. I think a lot of you who have been watching my videos for a bit probably knew this one was coming. Her first film appearance is fine, nothing special in terms of her character though, but her second movie basically wheezes all over the very concept of Disney princesses. The Many Princesses scene from Ralph Breaks the Internet is one of the most disrespectful scenes I've ever seen. Scene. Not only to the concept of princesses, but especially to the concept of their Disney princesses. Ralph Breaks the Legacy treats the concepts of romance and men as if they're dirty words, and, as I said, basically craps all over the legacy of romantic storytelling that literally built this animation studio and its identity. This sequel film, while attempting to cheekily induct Vanellope unofficially into the ranks of Disney princesses, instead serves only to mock and deride these great stories and characters that are the only reason Vanellope herself exists in the first place. As a final note, not for nothing, but the princesses in that scene I speak of mostly do not look nearly as good in that film as they do in the original, and none of the pre-Rapunzel princesses are allowed to remain 2D animated, which is another load of BS if you ask me. As for Vanellope herself, I find her a decently enough written character in her first film, but she's positively awful in the second. And as for the performance itself, Sarah Silverman has got to have given easily a bottom 5 to maybe worst ever voice performance in terms of Disney princess voice actresses, from a pure acting, charm, singing skill, listenability, and likability standpoint, as well as the atrocious writing. Silverman is altogether just the worst, as is Vanellope. The only good thing about the Many Princesses scene in that film is hearing the voices of almost every single other actress who's ever done a Disney princess in an official film, other than the original 3, because even though Mary Costa is still alive, she obviously wasn't up to doing it. It's nice to hear their voices, but other than that, it's baloney. And I won't stand for baloney.
He won't, you know. He doesn't stand for baloney.
Best song. Unfortunately, Slaughter Race. Best look? Her green hoodie. 39th through 34th. Ariel's 6 sisters from The Little Mermaid. They have pretty singing voices and they're all very cute, but none of these 6 are allowed to be actual characters, only making a couple of brief appearances in their entire original film, although they do appear a lot more in Ariel's Beginning, the pretty trash direct-to-video prequel that I have now seen and ranked. Their names are Atina, Alana, Adela, Aquata, Arista and Andrina. Other than their A-starting names and the fact that they can sing, however, we learn precious little about these 6 characters going by just what we see in the original 1989 film, and so this is where they must live on our list today. Best song, they're introducing Ariel song thingy, I don't know what it's called, introducing to you, whatever, I'll show the little clip.
She's my sister, Ariel.
Best look, their only looks, really. They're all very pretty.
You have a lovely wife. They're both very pretty.
33rd, Esmeralda from The Hunchback of Notre Dame. Standard vocal performance, kind of a little bit of a bland character, but very sweet and admirable. However, she lacks anything really unique to me other than her vibrant design and animation. I know I will probably get some flack from some people for this take and extremely low placement of Esmeralda, but I really just am not at all a big fan of Demi Moore in the role, for several reasons. For one thing, Demi Moore is a white actress, and Esmeralda, at least in Disney's version, is ethnically Romani, which is definitely one of the more egregious recent-ish examples of Disney whitewashing in a vocal casting choice. Beyond this big faux pas, Moore just doesn't wow me in the role in the slightest, delivering a fairly stilted and uninspired performance to my ears, especially compared to the other actors in this film, firing on all cylinders, like Tom Hulce or especially Tony Jay. Her song God Help the Outcasts is pretty, and does redeem her character slightly, especially since it was sung by Heidi Mollenhauer, rather than the far more gruff-voiced and not nearly as musically talented Moore. Anyway, an underwhelming Disney princess archetype character with one decent song, so this is where she shall stay. Best song, God Help the Outcasts. Best look, her only look, the purple dress / green waist / white shirt. She is at the very least a gorgeously designed, if far over-sexualized character, visually speaking.
But I must.
32nd, Princess Namari, from Rya and the Last Dragon. Look, there's nothing particularly wrong with I'm so mean to, Rya stuff. I'm just, oh god, I gotta break character here for a second. God, I'm so mean about Rya and Rya stuff. Anything to do with that movie, I'm just so hard on it. Whatever, I don't care. Rya stands, you can sound off in the comments and help me in the algorithm. I don't give a hoot. Come at me, bros.
Come at me, bro. I'm standing right here. Come at me, bro.
Look, there's nothing particularly wrong with Namari, but she's a fairly unintimidating villain from a fairly weak movie. She has nice character development, but she leaves very little impression beyond her action scenes, and her visual design is one of my least favorite of any princess. She's the de facto villain and Rya's rival / frenemy figure. And the performance from Gemma Chan is certainly well done dramatically, but Namari offers me very little that is unique, distinct, or exciting to me from a character perspective, when judged up against all these other characters from the rest of the canon. Her very cool fight scenes do earn her some points and save her from a bottom 3 placement, or even a bottom 5 placement, but this is as high as she can go. Best song, she doesn't have one. What the actual hell? That's actually going to become a theme on the list going forward, so buckle up, Buttercup. Best look, her only one as an adult, the in fact quite boring warrior look with the white top and 0 arm protection for some damn reason, even though she's always in sword fights. 31st, Princess Tiger Lily from Peter Pan. Now we're getting to the characters that I genuinely personally like. That didn't take long. One of only 2 characters on this list, along with Tinkerbell, to have no... Yeah, right, buddy. Didn't take long. I've been recording for 25 minutes. One of only 2 characters on this list, along with Tinkerbell, to have no vocal performance beyond a single help before she is pulled under the water, delivered by an uncredited female voice actress. But her animation and characterization is very strong despite this silence, for what little screen time she gets. The big problem is, she's really barely in the movie, especially considering how historically famous of a name character she is. Still, again, for the brief time she is on screen, I fall back in love with Princess Tiger Lily every time I rewatch Peter Pan. She's the only one of the Indian characters in Neverland that is not a total Native American stereotype visually, and so for that alone she earns a few placements. Her flirting with Peter is adorable, and the love triangle she gets caught up in between her, Peter, and Wendy is fun and memorable. Best song, she doesn't sing or speak, only dances. Best look, her only look, the cute as a button little dress, 2 braids, and feather combination. That was D tier, I think I have in my notes here, but I'll put them in tiers eventually. 30th, Princess Rya, from Rya and the Last Dragon. I honestly want to put Rya a little bit higher, but I really can't. She is a competently written character, at times with a decent enough arc of her own, and a good vocal performance from the always lovely and talented Kelly Marie Tran. However, and this is a 1920s damn fool New York skyscraper-sized however, she has an incredibly irritating sidekick in Sisu, no songs, as her film is literally the only non-musical princess film in the entire official canon, and exists in what is, to me, the weakest Disney princess film of the entire official bunch. So for these crimes, she is very low, even though I actually still quite like her character personally. Kelly Marie Tran, in fact, personally saves her from being in the bottom 10 on this list. Similar to Namari, her fight scenes and the mostly excellent choreography go a long way toward redeeming her as well for me. I do love a good fantasy warrior princess type character, and I hope Disney does more warrior princesses in the future. If it was not clear already by this point, she is the lowest ranked on this list princess that currently appears in the actual official Disney lineup. Merchandise.
Here comes the money.
Here we go. Money talk.
Best song? No song. No song for you.
No soup for you. Come back 1 year.
Best look? The only look. Her hat is dope though, and her sword is badass. She is kind of badass overall. It's cool to have the first princess who does a bunch of sword fights, so that's pretty cool. 29th. Maid Marian from Robin Hood. I should also point out that I did, as well as including Alice and Wendy, also include Maid Marian and Nala onto this list, and I know that the human or mostly human rule really discounts Nala and Feline, and definitely pretty strongly discounts Maid Marian, but I don't care. They're old enough and they, play mates to their prince character, so I'm going to allow it for those three.
I'm going to allow it.
I'm going to allow it.
Your Honor, strangling the witness.
I'm going to allow it.
29th, Maid Marian from Robin Hood. One of the most forgotten, but also somehow most crushed on peripheral Disney princess figures. I love Maid Marian, but she is not that huge or lasting of a character if I'm completely honest, and I cannot justify putting her any higher than this, sadly. She's a total fox. And a total babe. But sadly, that can only get her so high on this list, especially when she doesn't have a song of her own that she sings. Her voice performance is very pretty and charming, but she is not a big enough part of her story or an outstanding enough side player to climb any further. Best song? None again. Best look? Her thingy that she plays tennis in. I like that dress. It's cool. And the one that she's in the like sequence where they're in love and with the fireflies. It's very beautiful. 28th, Dolores Madrigal from Encanto. I love Dolores' power of magically enhanced hearing, allowing her to figure into the plot of Encanto in fascinating and unique ways. The vocal performance from singer Adasa is warm and funny, with a fantastic singing part during the world-conquering We Don't Talk About Bruno sequence. I love her visual design, and especially her quiet yet highly opinionated and sentimental personality. I enjoy how she pines for and ultimately ends up with the handsome Mariano by the end, a lovely little romantic subplot. Best song, her part of We Don't Talk About Bruno. Best look, her only look, the lovely and simple red skirt and white shirt combo. 27th, Feline from Bambi. Bambi's mate and the mother of the next great prince of the forest after him. Feline is one of the most beautifully designed and especially animated of any character on the list, as well as being a serene, calming, and sympathetic presence. She's the perfect mate to the young Prince Bambi, and their romance and bond is an essential part of their film, just like many other great princesses that came after her. If we are counting animals like Feline and Nala, then Feline is actually the second Disney princess ever, after only Snow White herself. The voice performance by the wonderful Anne Gills is understated excellence. Best song? Sadly, no song. Best look? She's a deer. So, she has the one look. 26th. Princess and then queen for a while, Elsa of Arendelle from the Frozen films. Alright, some of you are going to shoot me for this, but maybe the most overrated Disney princess of all time, although I think the sequel does improve her, as it improves in general on the first film. Into the Unknown is a much better song than Let It Go. I have to truly mention briefly that I never really liked Let It Go at all. I don't like it now, and I consider it to be still one of the most overrated, over-talked about, and overplayed songs of all time, Disney or otherwise. Anyway, in regards to Elsa, I like her a bit better than I used to. I might have put her at the bottom of the list before, but I'm basically fine with her now, and she can be at 26. This is where my personal affection for the characters starts to ramp up even a little more. I've talked before on this channel about the choice to cast Idina Menzel as Elsa, and I must again be critical of it here. While she is a phenomenally talented Broadway veteran singer and actress, Idina Menzel was over 40 years old when she recorded her lines and songs for the first Frozen, and you can really hear the way that the Broadway stage has aged her voice. To be entirely fair, Idina never had the most youthful-sounding voice to begin with, but that's if anything even worse. Her being a great actress and singer notwithstanding, it boggles my mind that you would take a character who is turning 21 at the beginning of your story, and cast her with someone literally twice the age of the character in real life, who if anything sounds a little older than she herself is. Seriously, as much as I love Idina, it will always be an insane choice to me that they chose to cast a confident, brassy, deep-voiced 40-something woman to play a 21-year-old lifelong shut-in. However, again, Frozen 2 really works a lot better for me than the original Frozen does, specifically where it comes to Elsa herself. That second movie alone bumps her up a few spots, especially due to all of the incredible new songs she was able to sing, that are all better than Let It Go. If Frozen 3 continues to improve on her initially confusing and weird portrayal from the original film, and slightly, then Elsa might eventually even find herself sneaking into my top 20. An undeniably iconic character, featuring a sensational, if oddly cast, voice, and she's still growing on me. I'll get into specifically why her character is so badly written in the first Frozen eventually, in my Dear on Frozen, but for now that is all I will say. Oh, and by the way, Frozen was actually the first Dear script I ever started writing, so that's kinda cool. Frozen's got a weird special place in my heart for this channel. Best song? Into the Unknown. Although Show Yourself is pretty amazing too. Best look? Her white spirit dress from Frozen 2.
Please welcome the wickedly talented one and only Adele Dazeem.
Please welcome to the stage my very dear friend, Glom Gazingo.
25th, Merida from Pixar's Brave. The only princess on this list that comes from another animation studio entirely. This is unique in good ways and bad, and she remains to this day the only Pixar princess. Beyond this, however, she's a fun, spunky, opinionated, intensely talented character that I always enjoy revisiting. I love her archery scenes, the competition one reminding me of Robin Hood 1973. Her relationship with her mother is sweet and well-written, for the most part, and far better than the similar relationship portrayed many years later in the abysmal Turning Red. Yeah, I'll get to that movie eventually. Dear on that, coming someday. Dear Lord, more like it. The vocal performance from Kelly MacDonald is quite fine indeed, in my opinion, imbuing Merida with a truly distinct sound, accent, and dialogue amongst all these other ladies.
Lang me your lumbrick me a moose nail lee your gun away a teardrop in his eye. Hey, she back me, lassie!
Best song? No song. She has a very cool theme, though, her musical thing that plays when she's in the forest, but no song for her. Sensing a theme here, fewer and fewer songs down low on the list. Best look? Her only one. I wrote in the script, LOL. Yeah, the green dress. And with her hair just out and flowing in the breeze.
I don't want to get married. I want to stay single and let my hair flow in the wind as I ride through the glen, firing arrows into the sunset.
24th, Pocahontas from Pocahontas. It pains me to put a character I like this much down this low, but oh well. Pocahontas is, more than any other princess on this list, simply let down by the quality of her own film, and thus not given as much of a chance to shine as others. What she does offer is an astonishingly memorable visual design, a romantic story that sometimes works, and one of the greatest songs in Disney history with Colors of the Wind. The spoken performance from Irene Bedard is mesmerizing, and the singing performance from Judy Kuhn is one of the prettiest in any of the films I'll mention in this video. Again, I'll stress, Pocahontas herself is not the problem. Her film, however, is merely just okay, and doesn't utilize her nearly as well as it potentially could, and that knocks her down several placements. But she herself is a more than decent character, with a gorgeous design and a remarkable voice and set of songs. Best song? Colors of the Wind, of course. Best look? Her mane, barefoot, short dress, and necklace with hair flowing in the wind look. Another one whose hair flows in the wind.
Let my hair flow in the wind as I ride through the glen.
23rd, Jane Porter from Tarzan. The Jane to Disney's version of Tarzan. Jane Porter is a wonderful presence from the moment she shows up in her film. Minnie Driver was the perfect choice to bring her to life, and she is reminiscent of Belle in being one of the most intelligent and curious princesses on the whole list. She and Tarzan have another one of my favorite romances, and though they lack any actual songs sung together, they do have some adorable romantic sequences set to Phil Collins music. Phil always coming in clutch, man. Whew, clutch Phil over here. Overall, Jane would be a worthy inclusion on the main official Disney Princess lineup, and is always one of the first names mentioned when people start talking about potential new additions to it. Best song? None. Best look? Rippy clothes at the end. I don't know if that's a hot take or not, but I think she looks hot in the in the ripped up outfit at the end. I think she looks great. Woo! Hot Jane. 22nd, Princess and later Queen, Kidaga Kash, or Kida, from Atlantis, The Lost Empire. Quite similar to Elsa, Kida becomes both a queen and a god-level magic user, and has to use said power to ultimately protect her people. She's a lovely, intelligent, curious, and energetic character, and she's one of the highlights of her film. Her visual design is remarkable, and is reminiscent of Chell from The Road to El Dorado, whom I also adore. The performance of Cree Summer is lively and vivacious, and Kida's personal journey and her story are always compelling. Yet another literally named and known in-canon Disney princess, who is still not on the official list for no reason other than her film wasn't a musical and it didn't make that much money. However, I still love Kida very much, and she is technically the oldest character on this list, by like 1,000 years, so that's pretty cool. Best song? No song again, that really hurts them. Best look? Her main look, but her Blue Goddess version is pretty cool too. 21st, and here we come to the top of the first half. Tinkerbell from Peter Pan. An utterly unique princess-type character, jealous and vindictive, but ultimately good-hearted in the end. One of Disney's ultimate icons and a great character in her own right, and one of the best ever visual designs, directly inspired by both pin-up art and Marilyn Monroe herself. Tinkerbell was once upon a time actually a part of the official princess lineup, but was taken out when Disney figured out it was far more profitable to market Tinkerbell as her own distinct franchise and line of merchandise.
Hello, I like money.
She's the only other character besides Tiger Lily that doesn't have a voice performance behind her in her original film, instead being portrayed entirely by the animators and artists behind the 1953 version. Voice or no voice, she's enormously memorable and fun, and her rivalry with Wendy is an instantly classic Disney animation feud. Best song? No song, but she does power them all up during You Can Fly. Best look? Her classic green pin-up dress and slippers with pearls on them. Disney, you know what you were doing.
I've done nothing to bring the cat. Huh?
20th, Isabella Madrigal from Encanto. Isabella is my least favorite of her three sisters, which just goes to show how much I love the Madrigal sisters. Her song with Mirabel is fantastic, and she's overall quite a compelling and incredibly well-designed character. Her storyline about finding what makes her truly happy even if it is a little imperfect and not what other people expect of her, is relatable and well thought out. And I really adore her reconnection with Mirabel towards the end of the movie. The vocal performance from Diane Guerrero is simply spiffing, especially singing-wise. A haughty, talented, gorgeous, and marvelously magical Disney princess character type. Best song? What Else Can I Do? Best look? Purple Drinks. 19th, Wendy Darling from Peter Pan. Catherine Beaumont strikes here, a second time for Disney after her stellar work in Alice 2 years prior. Much more on that later. This time at age 12, for the responsible and intelligent Wendy Darling, Beaumont gives another remarkably fun and game performance, as a very different sort of girl this time around. And Wendy is a wonderful, kind, and nurturing character to everyone around her. Her dynamic with Peter is fascinating, and her rivalry with Tinkerbell is just wonderful, as I already touched on a few moments ago. Wendy is one of the original female lead characters in Disney under Walt, and her no-nonsense but still fun-loving and agreeable personality is a perfect counterpart to Peter's eternally, impishly immature nature. Wendy is a marvelous creation, brought to life by an even more marvelous actress. Beaumont had an insanely mature voice here at 12, both her spoken and sung performances just utterly blowing me away upon a rewatch in terms of their grace, warmth, and skill. Beaumont was truly a performing talent decades beyond her literal years. Best song? Your Mother and Mine. Best look? Her classic dressing gown. 18th, Nala from The Lion King. Much like almost every other individual element of The Lion King, I don't like Nala nearly as much as I potentially could, but I am still quite fond of her regardless.
I don't know half of you half as well as I should like, and I like less than half of you half as well as you deserve.
She's got a lovely bond and relationship dynamic with Simba, and she's just as charming and enjoyable as a child as she is in her grown-up version in the second half. Moira Kelly does excellent work as adult Nala, and overall, while she doesn't blow me away in any capacity or stand out all that much, she's a more than fitting love interest for the lead of the film, and she eventually ends up being a brave, kind, intelligent, and resourceful character in her own right, too, who just gets a lot to do and gets to bring Simba back, and she just plays a key role in the plot, so I gotta give her points. Best song? Her parts of I Just Can't Wait to Be King. Best look? She's kind of just naked the whole movie. I mean, she's a lion again, just like Feline. Alright, that was C tier, I think, and now we're on to B tier. 17th, Princess and now Queen Anna of Arendelle from the Frozen films. Easily the better Frozen franchise lead character, in my kingdom, Anna was originally going to be the solo lead of the first movie, and in my opinion she should have remained so. She has one of my personal favorite princess love songs in Love is an Open Door, even though that turns out to ultimately be a fake-out and not actually true love. And she has another couple of good songs in the sequel. In each installment, Anna is brought to life by an earnestly charming and winning voice performance from Kristen Bell, and in general she has remained throughout the first 2 films a well-written character. She's one of the more sympathetic and relatable princesses, due to her extreme loneliness and lack of human contact, similar to Rapunzel. I love Anna's excitability, her goofiness, her word vomit, and her deep capacity for utterly genuine love. Her relationship with Kristoff is one of the better modern Disney romances, and her continually blossoming friendship with Olaf is one of the sweetest and most enjoyable aspects of the entire Frozen franchise. Best song? I had actually written in the script Love is an Open Door, but I'm gonna change that at the last minute. First, I do love her part in Do You Want to Build a Snowman, but I don't think that's as good a song, but I'm actually going to say that Anna's best song is Some Things Never Change from the sequel. I actually really love Some Things Never Change from Frozen 2. Best look? Her purple and black cloak outfit from Frozen 2, or possibly her long green gown look from the ball scene. 16th, Princess Ailonwy from The Black Cauldron. Oh yeah, some people are going to hate this ranking.
You're just ruining it. Look at my lips, you're ruining it.
Pompous, confident, and with a massive dollop of little adult/big kid energy, Eilonwy is a uniquely playful princess that honestly prefers to be a provocative little a-hole. Definitely a firstborn. She has great chemistry with Taryn, has a funny and giggly voice performance from British actress Susan Sheridan, who is sadly passed away a few years ago, so RIP to her, and is a named Disney princess, the only one of her animation era, as she was the only named princess between 1959 and 1989, in the 30-year gap between Aurora and Ariel. She has a decent visual design, especially her floofy hair, and is, along with Snow White, one of Disney's classic wise beyond their years young teen characters. From the moment she enters the film, wandering around the depths of a castle completely unafraid and on her own at only 12 years old, she becomes the co-lead of the film alongside Taryn. And to me, she massively improves the quality of the movie for the remainder of its runtime. Eilonwy is almost like if a slightly older Alice were supplanted into the world of the Black Cauldron, such as her sassiness and humorously ludicrous level of self-confidence. I love her confrontational romantic chemistry with Taryn, that adorable sort of flirting that only comes when someone is willing to tease their crush ruthlessly, as Eilonwy does to Taryn over and over. Some viewers will positively balk at this ranking, as well as a few others later on. But for my money, her overall character quality versus how much she's actually talked about and appreciated in general, Eilonwy is one of the maybe 4 or 5 most underrated Disney princesses ever. Best song? No song, sadly. I really kind of wish she had one. Would have been lovely. Best look? Her only look. The pink skirt and cinched blue top and white shirt combo. Alright, smoke break for me.
Come to where the flavor is. Come to Marlboro country.
Alright, for the top 15, I'm gonna literally let my hair down. Oh, head rush. 15th, Louisa Madrigal from Encanto. Though another very recent addition to the canon, Louisa has already made a big impact on audiences. She has a fantastic signature song, she is a relatable and lovable supporting character in her sister's story, and she is overall just a wonderful, new, kind of princess. Like Dolores and Isabella, she's also magical, which, as I went through this full list, I found to be a surprisingly common Disney princess trait. Like, even more than you might think so, even outside of the official characters as well. Jessica Darrow's rendition of Surface Pressure is an instant Disney classic song, and the sequence is both hilarious and impressively animated. Also, as someone who is obsessed with weightlifting, strongman, and the concept of strength in general, Louisa was always going to be one of my favorite characters. Best song, Surface Pressure. Best look, her blue skirt and white shirt outfit. Wenches with the donkeys. Get out of my swamp! What are you doing in my swamp? With a donkey woman.
What are you doing in my swamp?
14th, Princess/Sultana Jasmine from Aladdin. A perhaps controversially low placement on the list, but that honestly just speaks to the strength of all 13 characters above her. As it stands, I love Jasmine very much for many reasons. Linda Larkin brings a gorgeously distinct pronunciation to the speaking part, making Jasmine's one of the more memorably unique speaking voices on this entire list. However, Lea Salonga shines even brighter, providing Jasmine's singing part in the now classic A Whole New World. Still to this day, one of Disney's greatest love duets. She has an utterly beautiful visual design, with some of Disney's most breathtaking looks seen on any princess, although I will say that I do dock her slightly for being a tad over-sexualized, as Disney had a real habit of doing to their darker-skinned female leads in this particular period in time. Esmeralda.
Look at that disgusting display. Yes, sir.
And Pocahontas. However, that doesn't take her too far down from me, as she is strikingly and skillfully, if a tad controversially, drawn. She shares an all-time great love story with Aladdin, and is an intelligent, resourceful, perceptive, and boundlessly loving character in her own right. Her dynamic with her father is also just impossibly sweet. In my opinion, a perhaps slightly overrated Disney princess historically, but still undeniably one of the greats. Best song? A Whole New World. Best look? Though it is perhaps more than a tad too smexy, it is genuinely kind of hard to beat how pretty her red dancer look actually is. 13th. Megara from Hercules. Meg is fairly unique as a Disney princess archetype, as she's explicitly several years older than her counterpart and love interest in Hercules, as well as being characterized as generally world-weary and experienced. Along with Eilonwy, she's one of a very short list of princesses with more street smarts than her prince, as well as notably Tiana. Almost all Disney princess figures are ingenues in some way, but Megara is not only older, wiser, and more experienced than Hercules, she's also in league with the villain from the start, another basically unique feature among this particular crowd. Along with Kida, Jane, and Esmeralda, she's one of a few handful of kind of but not official Disney princesses that a certain subset of fans has been asking Disney to add to the main lineup for years, and I can especially see why in Meg's case, as she is obviously my favorite of those four I just mentioned. She's dressed in my favorite color, with her gorgeously outlined purple dress being an all-time knockout princess look. She has one of the great solo Disney love songs ever in I Won't Say I'm in Love. And to top that all off, a young and already genius Susan Egan was able to lend Meg the most effortlessly sardonic and wickedly witty performance that has ever been allowed to come out of the mouth of a Disney princess, in the main lineup or not. She's stunning, she's hilarious, and throughout the course of their story together, Hercules is able to melt her frozen over and broken heart and make her whole again. Theirs remains one of my favorite Disney romances ever, and so for all that and more, Meg is placed here. Best song? I Won't Say I'm in Love. Best look? Purple dress with sash. That was the end of B tier as well. I guess we're on to A tier now. That was they'll show up at the end in their tiers in the graphics. I'm sure that I'll make. I'm giving myself more tasks to do in editing phase. Whoopee! Well, we duel on skill alone. 12th, Cinderella from Cinderella. Probably the single most superior to and stands out from her own movie princess, other than maybe Anna. That's not to say that Cinderella 1950 is a bad movie, not by any means, but the version of Cinderella from that film, due to Eileen Wood's timeless and enchanting performance, is an all-time great one, and an effortlessly charming classic Disney character. Woods was a voice that was positively born to talk and sing as a Disney princess, and this is proven by the fact that she delivered not one, not two, but three all-time great Disney princess songs in the trilogy of A Dream is a Wish Your Heart Makes, Sing Sweet Nightingale, and my own favorite, So This Is Love. Eileen Woods breathed timeless rapture, hope, and joy into these three tracks and her entire performance. And beyond even the voice, Cinderella in this film is just an excellent overall character. She's smart, hard-working, kind, faithful, witty, patient, and beautiful both inward and outward, featuring a visual design the praises for which cannot be sung loud enough. There's a reason that Cinderella has remained one of Disney Animation's most popular, enduring, and recognizable visual icons ever. She is iconic in every sense of the word, and lands just a couple of hairs outside my top 10, but only due to the strength of the field ahead. Best song? In my opinion, So This Is Love, but it is very close indeed. Best look? Her Mark Davis designed, instantly recognizable white ball gown and glass slippers outfit. 11th, Snow White from Snow White. The very first one that started it all. For both this list of ladies and for this YouTube channel itself. Disney's Snow White is wise beyond her years, good in stressful situations, kind, thoughtful, considerate, sweet, intelligent, understanding, and always optimistic. Given life by a tremendous vocal performance from the immortal and adorable Adriana Caselotti. Adriana, singing, speaking, and providing physical reference for the character, created a voice that has been imprinted in the hearts and minds of children for generation upon generation. In her renditions of each of her songs, from I'm Wishing to With a Smile and a Song to Someday My Prince Will Come, Adriana's expertly pitched vocals in this role still stand tall as one of the most beautiful and influential voice acting performances ever given. Her relationship with the Seven Dwarves is utterly delightful, her rivalry with the Evil Queen is legendary, and her romance is simple but sweet. She is, all in all, the absolute perfect archetype and blueprint for the Disney princess lineage to be built upon.
It was perfect. Perfect. Everything, down to the last minute details.
Rarely equaled and even more rarely surpassed, Snow White will endure forever. Best song? I'm Wishing. Best look? Maybe controversial pick here, but I actually find her servant dress and clogs to be the most charming of them all. First two Disney princesses wear clogs at one point. If I'm not imagining that, I'm pretty sure they both wear clogs. Clogs is just very funny to me. 10th, Alice from Alice in Wonderland. Once again, I know it's a bit controversial to even include Wendy or Alice at all, but I don't care. I like them and they're close enough, so they're going on here.
I'm smart, you're dumb. I'm big, you're little. I'm right, you're wrong. And there's nothing you can do about it.
As much as I talk about the voice actresses a lot in this list, as you will have no doubt by this point cottoned on to, Catherine Beaumont is a truly special case, even in this setting of giant peerage. All of 10 years old when she provided the voice for Alice, Beaumont delivered a bizarrely adult turn as the precocious child, providing both voice and physical inspiration for the animators, acting out all of the scenes for them. Her remarkably chill and no-nonsense portrayal of Alice is one of my all-time favorite performances from a voice actor in any film ever. She perfectly creates and embodies this precocious, adventurous, ridiculous, and above all hilarious young girl in every facet of her being. Alice has always been and will always remain one of my favorite Disney leads, and one of their characters that I personally connect to and identify with the most. At only 10, Catherine was able to utterly anchor one of Disney's all-time best productions with only her already immense vocal and physical talents, and her boundless creativity. We even get a couple of songs from Alice, which are, again, performed remarkably beyond her years by Catherine, in terms of tone and skill, and the first of which, In a World of My Own, is arguably Disney's third example of their trademark I Want song trope in their musical films, after only Snow White and Cinderella. Her look as well, with her perfect color combination of blue dress, white apron, and golden hair, is instantly memorable and still one of Disney's best, simplest, and cleanest character designs. I know most people would not include her on a princess list like this, but this is my list. She's going on it, and she's rounding out the top 10 for me. Best song? In a World of My Own. Best look? The only one she has, her blue dress, white apron, and black bow. 9th. Princess Ariel from The Little Mermaid. Ariel was Disney's triumphant return to musical princess films, and to princess films in general, as Ailanwi was the only other named princess between Aurora in 1959 and Ariel 30 years later here in 1989. Only the fourth official lineup princess in Disney history, Ariel re-established the princess film as Disney's dominant box office bread and butter.
It's sort of a wizard's bread and butter, really.
Both going into the Renaissance after her, and beyond it into the last two eras we have just witnessed / are currently witnessing, from 2009 onward. Such was Ariel and her film's success with critics at the box office and in terms of total cultural influence, that she and it basically single-handedly revived both Disney animation and the animated princess film genre in general. There is no better proof of this than the fact that even former Disney animator Don Bluth got into the princess movie game himself not once but twice in the 1990s, following both Disney and Ariel's lead, with first Thumbelina in 1994 and then again with Anastasia in 1997, and then DreamWorks did too a little bit with Shrek in 2001, and the other Shrek films, including Shrek 3 with a bunch of princesses, I believe. One of the most adorable on the entire list, and the most influential princess of all time other than maybe Snow White herself, Ariel is up there as one of the 5 or so most iconic princesses in every way, along with Cinderella and a couple of others. She's a kind and optimistic soul, and similar to Aurora in what a total dreamer she is. She's utterly obsessed with the human world and what it would be like to live on land, and this gives her a wonderfully relatable goal throughout her story to explore, adapt, and experience life in new ways, as well as supplying her with one of the greatest solo songs ever. Part of Your World was the song that officially began Disney Animation's forever obsession with I Want songs, a trope they themselves even parodied in the abysmal and aforementioned Slaughter Race. From Ralph Breaks My Faith in Disney. I mean, Ralph Breaks the Internet.
Well, what's so goddamn funny?
Ariel has several totally gorgeous design choices, especially her hair and the way it is animated. Jodie Benson gives at bare minimum a top 5 to 10 vocal performance on this entire list, especially her singing parts, and she and the animators and writers were able to craft in Ariel a princess that inspired dozens and dozens and dozens of animated leads to follow her, as well as becoming an entire new generation of little girls' favorite princess forever. For all that, even though she is a bit lower on this list than some might expect, she is still firmly in the top 10 all time. Best song? Part of Your World. Best look? As many have pointed out before me, her pink dress is her best look. 8th, Princess Aurora / Briar Rose / Sleeping Beauty from Sleeping Beauty. Aurora is damn good. Aurora, as you will all hear again in my upcoming Sleeping Beauty video, is my pick for the single most underrated Disney princess, and is one that I have grown an enormous soft spot for over the years, so I'm definitely a little biased here. The thing is, if you look up on the internet ranking lists of the main lineup of official Disney princesses, Aurora is almost always at the very bottom, if not at least in the bottom 3. Honestly, I just think this is unfair and quite unfairly tied to a few weird misconceptions about the character. First, that she is anti-feminist, as all 3 of the original princesses are often accused of being. What I say to that is, the point of a Disney princess isn't to be feminist per se, or any particular kind of feminist per se. It's to be a great character and to be a good role model in some way, shape, or form, and tell good stories that have good morals in them, as these are fairy tales and fables we are talking about here, and not something that absolutely has to star a strong, independent Yas Queen girl boss.
Alana, do the homeless like Prada?
Yes, Queen!
Aurora is the princess character archetype played totally straight, and I love her for that, as she is a classic fairy tale and literature trope done to absolute perfection. Next, that she is asleep for half of, or most of, her movie. I can dispel this BS right now. She falls asleep and it is 20 minutes of the 78-minute runtime before she is woken up again by the kiss. In other words, just over a quarter of the runtime. The third and final common gripe with Aurora I will mention, as I will again state probably 1,000 times in that upcoming video, is that she is not in fact the main character of her film, even though she is the title character. If she were actually the lead character of her movies, she would probably be in the top 3 or 4 for me. However, she'll have to settle for being the highest ranked of any supporting character princess, as the leads of her film are actually the 3 good fairies, Flora, Fauna, and Merryweather. But that's the reason she's often ranked so low, in my opinion, as well, and people have so many misconceptions about her, is that people judge her with the lens of her being a lead character when she is, in fact, pretty explicitly a supporting character, or at the very least, one of several leads. She shares one of my favorite Disney romances ever with Prince Philip, and the Once Upon a Dream sequence is, to me, a top 5 Disney song ever, and the prettiest romance scene they've ever drawn. Aurora has one of the most gorgeous visual designs of any princess, and despite her short screen time, is an exceedingly charming character, and has what I would contend to be the best singing voice of any Disney princess, in both reality and in canon. She's also the only Disney princess other than Rapunzel to technically have magic hair, and is the only one with violet eyes. I love Aurora, as you can tell. Mary Costa lent her indescribably angelic voice to Aurora. Costa, a classically trained opera singer who is, as of the filming of this script, still with us, is the oldest Disney princess ever, having just turned 94 on April 5th, 2024. I am not being hyperbolic when I say that Mary Costa possessed one of the most beautiful singing voices I have ever heard in my entire life. She transforms Aurora from a gorgeous idea into a living, breathing, dancing, laughing, singing masterpiece of a Disney princess character. One of Disney's most overlooked and misunderstood characters ever, and one of their most effortlessly beautiful in both design and sound. Best song? Once Upon a Dream, although I Wonder is an all-time classic too. Best look? Controversial pick maybe, but I'm going with her barefoot, bodiced, simple brown and black forest dress peasant girl look. 7th, Princess Tiana from The Princess and the Frog. Although her movie was not nearly as successful as The Little Mermaid, much like Ariel, 20 years later, Princess Tiana would bring Disney princesses back into fashion in a big way. Or at the very least, she opened the door back up for Rapunzel, Anna, Elsa, and all the rest to walk through after her. As it stands, Tiana was an instantly classic princess as soon as she hit screens in 2009, and she has, if anything, only grown in people's estimation from that point on. The biggest knock against her is that, despite being the first princess of African descent, Disney saw fit to transform her physically into a frog for most of the runtime, meaning that we were robbed of a lot of potential runtime actually featuring a black woman on screen, that instead went to a little green frog. That visual representation controversy aside, Tiana is in all other aspects a totally outstanding character. She has one of the most layered and complex romantic storylines opposite Naveen, has a stunning visual design no matter her outfit, being the only Disney princess to be animated with dimples, and she is yet another to have multiple fantastic songs to her name. Just like the amazing film she stars in, I adore Tiana, and Anika Noni Rose could not be more perfectly cast in the role. She expertly fits the hard-working, pragmatic, forthright, headstrong, practical, a bit too level-headed, and thoroughly modern princess to a T, and her work on the musical tracks is truly sublime. Best song? Almost there. Best look? Tough, but I'm going to say her ball gown look she's in right before kissing Frog Naveen. Number 6. Asha from Wish. The most recent addition to this list, and obviously she has immediately become one of my favorites. While she, along with Mirabel, Anna, and Elsa, are all not in the official lineup for various reasons, she obviously fits the character type. Asha stands out to me in so many interesting ways. Wish itself is a film all about the burden of knowledge, and the choice one is faced with when we discover there is injustice in the world, and we have a way of making a difference about it. Hers is a story of perseverance, of believing in yourself and that you can actually make a change, and of doing the right thing, no matter the odds against you or the pressure on you to simply fall in line and toe the party line.
I want everyone to remember why they need us.
She's one of the bravest characters on this list, challenging King Magnifico and ultimately starting and leading a rebellion against the magical tyrant, overcoming him with the help of all of Rosas. As I've already mentioned several times in previous videos, I love Wish, and Asha herself is the biggest reason why. She's another of the modern princesses to not have a love story, joining Elsa, Moana, Rya, and Mirabel, and in place of that she has 7 friends with whom she has an adorable group dynamic. Her bond with both Star and Valentino the Goat are absolutely to die for. Her love for her family and especially her grandfather is so incredibly sweet, and her visual design is just miraculous, down to every tiny little detail. The animation of that film truly is just breathtaking. Her purple dress, long braided hair, and gorgeous features paint the picture of a princess that is as unforgettable as she is spellbinding. Ariana DeBose, with her performance as Asha, firmly stamps herself as one of the greatest and most powerful voices ever chosen for a Disney princess, and her renditions of all of Asha's songs are seriously worth listening to again and again, so much so that it's really hard for me to pick my favorite song from her. She also carries off the adorably goofy and awkward character that Asha is with incredible skill, her nerves translating well and being relatably cringe without actually making her unlikable. After all, who among us has not said and done some dumb BS in job interviews or high-pressure situations?
Well, Pan.
No, my name is Pam.
Are you saying Pan or Pam?
I'm saying Pam.
While this will undoubtedly be an extremely controversially high placement in the eyes of many, Asha is to me personally easily one of the most memorable, gorgeously vocalized and animated, and all-around dynamic princess characters Disney has ever produced. Best song? Although I really had a hard time choosing, This Wish is ultimately my favorite song of hers. At all costs, however, her duet with Magnifico is a very close second. Best look? Her lovely purple dress. Wow, there are quite a few purple dresses on this list, although I do love her cloaked look for obvious reasons. Fifth, Moana of Motunui, from Moana. Moana is a phenomenal character, and is easily one of the most compelling princesses that Disney has eschewed a traditional love storyline with. She's an adventurous and impulsive person, not unlike Rapunzel or Alice. She's stubborn, strong, brave, resourceful, a little too confident, and always ready for more action. Her songs are all wonderful, especially her main theme, and she has one of my favorite visual designs ever, especially her more realistic body proportions and her tremendous hair. Auli'i Cravalho is an utter joy in the part, her very real youth, enthusiasm, and exuberance shining through in every single scene. I'm so glad that for the part of Moana, Disney truly did let Musker and Clements do another old-fashioned talent search, and let them audition many unknown young actresses for the role, just as Disney used to do in their animation eras under Walt. Her chemistry alongside Dwayne Johnson as Maui makes for one of my all-time favorite Disney odd couples/buddy movies, and her relationships with her father, grandmother, and cultural past all serve to further expand and explore this fascinating and complex young character. Her second film coming out later this year might potentially change her ranking for me, but for now, Moana will reside inside the top 5. Best song? How Far I'll Go, of course. Best look? Her main barefoot with orange top, woven skirt, and necklace outfit. Although her chieftainess headdress is kinda cool. Fourth, Rapunzel from Tangled. Cinderella danced so Rapunzel could swing. Rapunzel takes the domestic abuse victim storyline and characterization of Cinderella and perfects it, delivering one of Disney's most dynamic and plucky women ever. Her film is also in many ways a soft remake of Sleeping Beauty, and so this second princess of the revival era perfectly mashes up Disney's second and third princesses into an incredible new character, and a marvelously successful new riff on old themes and tropes. Mandy Moore's vocal turn as Rapunzel is impeccable, every line filled with the wonder and joy of a dreamer that's been locked up tight her entire life, just ready to burst forth and explode with spectacular personality. She perfectly captures her youth and wonder, especially during each of her 3 songs. She is giddy, curious, excitable, naive, hilarious, and at times in way over her head. But Rapunzel's greatest strength lies in her ability to think on her feet and apply her many passions and curiosities and hobbies to the situation at hand. Her ability to make friends with and defuse the anger of the thugs in the Duckling pub shows enormous bravery and ability to inspire empathy and compassion in others. She's an adorable, lovable sweetheart, and although her first 2 songs aren't everyone's cup of tea, in terms of princess songs being a bit poppy, although I love both of them, her love duet with Flynn/Eugene, At Last I See the Light, is easily one of Disney's 10 greatest love songs ever. I keep hinting at other rankings in this ranking that I haven't made yet, but it's hard not to when digging into this subject so deeply. Rapunzel and Eugene are, to me, alongside Tiana and Naveen, Disney's greatest romances since the Renaissance. Their easy chemistry and growing bond throughout their time together is so believable and cute, her optimism and ability to believe in him allowing him to finally open up to her. Truly one of Disney's best written romantic relationships. Rapunzel is one of Disney's greatest dreamers, and I really do love everything about her. Best song? At Last I See the Light. Best look? The Brady hair look.
That's the way we all became the Brady Bunch. The Brady Bunch. The Brady Bunch.
Third, Mirabel Madrigal from Encanto. Mirabel is Disney's best protagonist in many years, featuring an astonishingly winning vocal performance from the wonderful Stephanie Beatriz.
Fine. I'm great at apologizing. I'm a very sweet person. Out of my way, chunk.
Side note, but Stephanie Beatriz is the only Disney princess actress I've ever actually seen on stage, as I saw her in an Oregon Shakespeare Festival production of Measure for Measure one time, and thus she's the only one I've actually been in the literal presence of, so that's cool. It was awesome.
Oh! Oh, beautiful!
Mirabel, her sisters, her cousin, and her abuela are the female family drama and reconciliation that the first Frozen wishes it was, and Mirabel herself is uniquely designed, hilariously derpy, and has some spectacular songs she gets to sing. Her own design is wonderful, and her film itself is one of Disney Animation's best in a very long time. Her entire family dynamic is fascinating and so incredibly fun, and her lack of magical powers makes her stand out, both from her family and from Disney princess characters in general, as they really do often have powers of some kind, as we've learned today. She's a character that many people have very quickly fallen totally in love with, and I, for one, completely get it. She's a character and a performance from Beatriz that I've only continued to grow more and more attached to, and Beatriz's performances of her songs are nothing short of show-stopping. Waiting on a Miracle is one of my favorite I Want songs ever, and Lin-Manuel Miranda for the most part entirely delivered on the music of Encanto, supplying Mirabel with some of the best individual material for her own character of anyone on this list. She's awkward, funny, sassy, friendly, helpful, resourceful, surprisingly irritable, boundlessly loving, and quite remarkably brave to be able to stand up to her grandmother in the way that she does. Truly one of Disney's most spellbinding lead characters, princess or otherwise. Best song? Waiting on a Miracle. Best look? Her floral blue skirt and white top. Yes, well, it's easy to bag on Lin-Manuel Miranda for some things. I do really admire and appreciate his contribution to Disney princess songwriting, because both Moana and Mirabel have some incredible songs. So thanks, Lin.
Thank you.
Second, Belle from Beauty and the Beast. Back in 1991, Paige O'Hara blessed us with a magnificent and, at the time, unrivaled performance. Belle is one of the most intelligent, wise, beautiful, charming, witty, and iconic of all Disney princesses. I'm sorry for all of the adjective listing, but I don't know. It's just nice to see which ones apply to some and not to others. So shush me and my intrusive thoughts. Anyway, and she has one of the best songs and voice performances. She regularly tops many people's ranking lists of these characters, no matter how many or how few are included, and I can see why. Belle is a character firing on all cylinders, from the vocal performance, to the songwriting, to the dress designs, to the romance with her prince. In each and every way, she has to be counted as one of the very best. Her film is a timeless classic, a tale of redemption and transformation through honesty, love, and trust. She has a fascinating spurned suitor dynamic with the villain of her film, Gaston, making theirs a dangerous love triangle for the ages. She has one of the most famous and celebrated musical moments of all time when singing on the hill, and the opening song, named after her, is probably Disney's strongest opening musical number and opening scene of all time. It's almost hard to talk about her because there's just so much to praise, but I adore Belle in every way. She's not one of the most obviously heroic of Disney's princess characters, but she is one of their most intelligent, compassionate, beautifully designed, well-written, and is unquestionably one of their best performed. Best Song, Belle and Its Reprise. Best Look, I'm gonna go with the blue village dress. I of course adore the iconic yellow ball gown, but the blue dress I love even more. Like a grown-up Alice. First, Fa Mulan from Mulan. Those of you eliminating them one by one knew she had to come up sometime. What can be said about my number one choice? Allow me to list and sing her praises for you for at least a little while. Ming-Na Wen was the only choice for this role, bringing a terrific wit and deep emotionality to the role that allows Mulan to stand out for me above all others. In her second turn as the singing voice of a Disney princess, Lea Salonga returns to sing for Mulan after previously providing the same work on Jasmine. Wen and Salonga combine for one of the most striking, emotional, and explosive Disney princess voice performances ever, and one that has truly stood the test of time, and for a princess that has only become more appreciated since her introduction. I love her romance with Shang, how it isn't entirely resolved by the end of her film, but that they are merely starting their journey together as a new and awkward couple by the close of their story. He's one of the best princes of all. That video will eventually come too, and he compliments her splendidly. Her relationship with Mushu is also so much fun and feels quite unique among princesses and their sidekicks, maybe most similar to the dynamic that Moana shares with Maui. Mulan is enormously brave, terribly clever, unendingly quick on her feet, and unflappably determined in the face of even the worst of odds. She's a character whose intelligence, outside-the-box thinking, and resourceful nature allows her to go so far as to save all of China from complete and total ruin, and face off basically one-on-one against her main villain multiple times. For these acts of heroism, she is honored both in her own story by her emperor and her people, and also in real life, honored by her studio with the title of princess, despite not actually being one in any literal sense of the word. Her film is a 5-bagger. 5 bags of popcorn and a little red dragon riding a cow.
5 bags. We have to take a break.
No, just review the movie.
And Mulan is my personal choice for greatest Disney princess ever. She's got an assortment of memorable and lovely visual designs, she has one of the best songs of any princess in Reflection, and what truly carries her over the top is the story she lives and tells. A story of bravery, sacrifice, and above all, familial honor and love. I love Mulan.
I love you. You are beautiful. I love you.
Best Song, Reflection. I'll Make a Man Out of You is a group number, so I'm not considering it. Best Look? It was actually really hard to pick, as she has a lot of outfits throughout the film, and I was a little tempted to pick her soldier armor. However, in the end, I felt like her two-tone blue dress with red trim from the final scene of the movie when she gives her father the sword back was my absolute favorite look that they gave her. And those are the lists. I'll let you look at the graphics there. This was a really huge, enormous one to put together. But I'm going to read off a couple of the rankings now. Basically, the official lineup, the list that you probably were envisioning when you clicked on this video of the 17, the 13 official, and then Anna, Elsa, Mirabel, and Asha. The most recent 4 that haven't officially been added on the list. And the ranking of them in order, just separated from the rest of this list, is 17th Rya, 16th Elsa, 15th Merida, 14th Pocahontas, 13th Anna, 12th Jasmine, 11th Cinderella, 10th Snow White, 9th Ariel, 8th Aurora, 7th Tiana, 6th Asha, 5th Moana, 4th Rapunzel, 3rd Mirabel, 2nd Belle, and 1st Mulan. So that's the full list of the official 17 that you would usually associate with the title of Disney Princess. And then the full list of 40 I'll just pop up on screen now as a graphic, and that is how I rank them, and those are the tiers. And I'm sorry I didn't shout it out when we got there, but we got to S tier when we got into the top 5 right at Moana. So S tier was 5th and above, obviously, as you're seeing on screen. But yeah, that was the 40 Disney princesses ranked 40th to 1st. As you can see, I put a lot of time and effort into this video, and if you're still here, thank you so much for watching. I will do some sort of an afterword for this, so that it's not just some sort of a joke. This is such a long one, I actually do want to do a song of some kind, even if it's just a cover of my own, so thank you very much for watching, and if you're still here, good night, good luck, and for goodness sake, enjoy the afterword.
There's a girl I used to know. When she looked into your eyes, there was nothing you could do with her truth in disguise. You could feel yourself submit, feel your mind begin to burn. You'd be serving in her court, selling favors, taking turns. She could hypnotize the world, hide the dangers from within, and you'd never even notice till your body's filled with sin. And the worst is yet to come, the intoxicating thrill, when you know how much you want her, when you know you always will. I never meant to do you wrong, never meant to sing the song that put you in a trance, that made your mind and body dance. Look past your ego and you'll see we could never really be. We were too far apart, a waking nightmare from the start. She could hypnotize the world, let her beauty start a war. See 1,000 soldiers die, fallen angels, and what for? And the worst is yet to come, the intoxicating thrill, when you know she never loved you, when you know she never will. We were too dangerous a pair, never going anywhere, locked in eternal hell, the torture that we knew so well. I won't stand by while you destruct. Our relationship is fucked. We're never coming back, still searching for the things we lack. There's a girl I used to know. When she tampered with my heart, there was nothing I could say. I was broken from the start. I could feel myself submit, feel my courage slip away, as I fell into her traps, all the games she likes to play. I never meant to tease the world, never meant to sing the song y'all.